Hey guys, you're watching PhoneArena's in-depth video comparison between the Apple iPhone 4, Motorola ATRIX 4G, both two high-end devices on AT&T's lineup here. We recently got situated with the ATRIX 4G. We love its impressive set of hardware under the hood, and it's some of its innovative qualities to it. They're both priced at $200 on contract. They both offer some stunning photos with their cameras. They have fast processors under the hood, and they have high-resolution displays and front-facing cameras for video chat. So a lot of identical functionality here. So it's only fitting to find these two against one another. Now, by just quickly holding both devices in your hand, it's quite obvious that the iPhone 4 exhibits a higher quality feel to its design construction versus the ATRIX 4G. That's just because with the ATRIX, it relies with the plastic housing, which makes it a lot more lightweight in the hand versus the iPhone 4. They're both manageable in the hand at relatively normal size, but the iPhone 4 is slightly thinner, and they'll easily slide both into your pockets without any problems here. Now, again, we mentioned we like the premium feel of the iPhone 4, and you can definitely feel that. You can see it with the glass-like front and back, sandwiched together with the stainless steel brush band. It just makes for one interesting looking device. And top of it, if we were to drop it, of course the iPhone 4 wouldn't look pretty afterwards. We'd say that the ATRIX 4G will handle a little bit better, a little bit more scratching obviously just because of the plastic. But in the end, we definitely like the look and style of the iPhone 4. It just makes for one very appealing looking device. It surely took some time, but we're finally seeing an Android smartphone that equals the iPhone 4's high-resolution Retina display. As you can tell here between the two, the ATRIX 4G has a larger display. It has a 4-inch capacitive touchscreen, QHD resolution, so that's 540 by 960 pixels. So we're very happy with the detail it has to offer here. On the iPhone 4, it's a 3.5-inch IPS display, 640 by 960 pixels, so a little bit higher resolution. And when you do the numbers, it does offer a higher pixel density here. But honestly, when you look at both devices, even the tiniest of text, you're not going to have any problem. They're quite legible here, and we're very happy with the brilliant looking displays on both handsets. As far as color production, we have to hand it to the iPhone 4. It just seems a little more natural. It's especially noticeable with darker colors like black. The ATRIX 4G just has a tendency to look a little bit more smoky. Viewing angles also goes to this iPhone 4 by just a little bit. You can tell here it doesn't fade as much versus the ATRIX 4G at various angles. But in the end, they're both pretty good displays, and they're very responsive as well. Even to this day, we never have problems accidentally pressing the single home button on the iPhone 4. It's very springy. When you compare it to the ATRIX 4G, it relies on the capacitor buttons. Still have a tendency to accidentally press them just because they're close to the edge here. We're actually very happy with the volume rockers with both handsets, just because it's very easy for us to feel them out with our fingers. And on top of that, there's a nice response when you press them down. Also with the iPhone 4, it packs in a vibrate switch. On the top edges of both devices, you're going to find a 3.5mm headset jacks, dedicated power button on the iPhone 4 and also the ATRIX 4G. We like the feel of both of them. It's a little bit more prominent with the iPhone 4, but the interesting thing about the ATRIX 4G is that it doubles as a fingerprint reader. Finally, in the back, we have the 5-megapixel autofocus cameras on both handsets. They're placed towards the upper left corner. You have a single flash on the iPhone 4, a dual LED flash on the ATRIX 4G. The speakers, it's on the bottom left corner of the ATRIX 4G, and it's also found on the corner right here on the iPhone 4. And the great thing about the ATRIX 4G is that you can remove the back cover, get access to its internals, such as the nice size 1930 milliamp hour battery. You have also SIM card slot, the micro SD card slot for additional storage. iPhone 4, you're stuck with whatever version you get, whether it be the 16, 32 gigabyte one. You have the SIM card slot on the side right here, but you can't expand the internal storage, nor can you take out the battery. So now we're just going to show you a couple of samples just to better show you the kind of color output that each handset's able to deliver. On the left you have the iPhone 4, and the right you have the ATRIX 4G. For the most part, colors look nice and natural in both, but there's just a little bit more brilliance to the iPhone 4's output. You can especially notice it with darker colors with blacks. It has a darker tone on the iPhone 4, while on the ATRIX 4G, it's a little bit more on the smokier side. It's still decent, but you definitely notice when you look at both devices at the same time that the iPhone 4 is just able to deliver natural looking colors. If you want to talk about fast, then both handsets come to mind really quickly. As you can tell, just as we're navigating between the home screens here, it has a very smooth tendency, but with the iPhone 4, it's a little bit more fluid in its response here, but it's not to say that the ATRIX 4G is not bad, just because we have an animated wallpaper enabled right now. Now with the iPhone 4, it's powered by Apple's A4 processor, while on the ATRIX 4G, it has the very speedy 1 GHz NVIDIA Tegra 2 dual-core processor, so both handsets are going to offer you a really nice, satisfying, responsive platform experience. Naturally, the other thing you want to consider is just the platform experience. On the iPhone 4, you have iOS, which hasn't changed that much since its inception here. It's pretty much straightforward and simplistic, a lot easier platform to learn between the two. There's just few personalization elements with it. You can change the placement of the icons, you can make folders, and you can also change the background, but that's pretty much it. However, we do like the personalization that's offered with Android 2.2 Froyo Motor Blur on the ATRIX 4G. It just adds for some really nice looking presentation overall, especially with the mix of widgets. And you also have things like animated live wallpapers just to give it a nice eye-catching look. So right now we have the on-screen portrait keyboards loaded here, which is going to quickly show you the type of responsiveness you're going to get with both handsets here. As you can tell, it's quite quick, very few instances of any slowdown. We're happy with the overall response. Of course, the portrait options might be a little bit more cramped, but if you tilt it to landscape, it's gonna give you the larger landscape format. We do like the overall look and style of both keyboards. With the iPhone 4, we do like that it has some really nice predictive text options. While on the ATRIX 4G, we also like the fact that it has a swipe keyboard, just to make it a little bit easier on your thumbs to type up something. The email experience should be satisfying on both handsets. With the iPhone 4, as you tell, we have a Gmail set up here, which is quickly showing an email. It displays just like you would on both devices. With the Gmail experience on the Android 2.2 Froyo powered ATRIX 4G, it just adds a little bit more functionality and just gives you that identical experience that you find on a desktop PC. Setup of email is pretty simple on both handsets. Generally just username and password, and that's pretty much it. In theory, the ATRIX 4G should get faster data speeds than the iPhone 4 just because it's an HSPA Plus device, but the real-world experience is not so inviting just because we managed to notice that the iPhone 4 loaded up our website a little bit faster than the ATRIX 4G. But you do have the beauty of Flash 10.1 support, which is evident by the Flash ads loading up here. Scrolling is pretty smooth on both devices, but it's a little bit more fluid on the iPhone 4. You have other commonalities such as double tap to zoom in, pinch to zoom gestures enabled with both devices. Again, you can tell just like the iPhone 4, it just has a slightly more fluid nature to it. But overall, the experience should be satisfying on both handsets, but if you want a desktop-like feel, you want to stick with the ATRIX 4G. By far, we still dig the iPhone 4's music player interface over the ATRIX 4G. So we're just going to quickly show you what it looks like when you play a song here. And they're pretty much similar to one another just because they display the track information, the album cover, and even on-screen controls. But the iPhone 4, you tilt to landscape, you're going to present it with a cover flow view, which offers a really nice 3D-like effect when you're navigating between all your albums. So we definitely like that. With the ATRIX 4G, it has some equalizer settings just to better enhance the audio quality from the speaker. But honestly, the output is going to be the same. They're very strong on both devices here, but we just like the fact that there's different equalizer settings with the ATRIX 4G. Both smartphones pack 5 megapixel autofocus cameras, and on the surface they might look identical in quality, but the iPhone 4 has a slight advantage when you look closer. So at the top we have the ATRIX 4G samples, at the bottom the iPhone 4. We're just going to quickly zoom in into this area right here. You'll see that the iPhone 4 just has a little bit more details with it, and we do like the overall juicier colors it has to produce on its with its camera here. I'll show you another one here with the flowers. You can tell that the iPhone 4 is better able to capture the magnificent looking set of colors. It just has a nice look to it versus the ATRIX 4G, which has a little bit of a washed out look, but still nice compared to other devices out there in the market. And in low lighting situations, the iPhone 4 definitely has an advantage too. It just seems that quality is also up there, but the flash, LED flash, does a better job in illuminating the scenery. It just seems a little bit weaker, but we do like the natural tones that the ATRIX 4G captures with its shots. 720p video recording is enabled on both devices here. On top you have the ATRIX 4G and the bottom the iPhone 4. It's going to show you the sample that we took here. The thing that we like about it is that they both shoot at the consistent smooth frame rate of 29 frames per second, so you don't get any jerkiness to the shot here. On top of that, there's plenty of detail. It's almost nearly identical. Also, audio quality recording is pretty good. It's very clear with voices, and it does a good job in that aspect, and you'll be very happy with the results on both devices here. Surprisingly, in our experience, calling quality is the same with both devices here. That's just because the earpiece delivers some strong tones through it, but unfortunately there is a noticeable amount of static heard on our end on both devices here. When we switch to using the speakerphone, they're both very strong with their output. With the iPhone 4, there's just a little bit of a distortion going on with it, and while on the ATRIX 4G, you still hear that static sound in the background. One thing we absolutely love about both handsets is their fantastic battery life over other smartphones out there. They go a little bit more than others just because we managed to get by a day and a half on both handsets. Normal usage, light users obviously will get a little bit close to 2 days. And for those power users out there, you could sleep knowing that you'll get by a solid working day without having to recharge both handsets. As you can tell, both handsets have front-facing VGA cameras, so you could take not only self-portraits, but you could do video chat as well. Now, the iPhone 4, we use FaceTime, even Skype. FaceTime, though, requires Wi-Fi connectivity only. We do like the overall responsive look of it, but Skype does a good job as well. That's what we use on the ATRIX 4G. We actually use Frink to connect with it, and the experience might not be the best out there. It might be choppy at times, but hey, it still has that functionality on board. So you're looking at the two best smartphones on AT&T's lineup. Of course, you have the iPhone 4, which has been sitting up there for quite some time, and now more recently we saw the ATRIX 4G arrive on the scene and just boast a lot of nice hardware under the hood. On top of that, if you checked out a review on it, it offers also some innovative qualities with its HD multimedia dock and also the laptop dock, which does strengthen its functionality, something we haven't necessarily seen before. But in terms of just the handsets themselves, they're priced both at $200. They pretty much radiate a high sense of performance in anything you do. You have the simplistic nature of iOS versus the personalized look of Android 2.2 Froyo with Motorola on the ATRIX 4G. They both take some stunning looking shots with their cameras, take also nice 720p videos. You have also front-facing camera for video chat fun and all of that. So they're both going to be nearly identical, just a matter of Android versus iOS. Both devices are really nice at what they present, and we're pretty sure you'll be satisfied nonetheless.